What is going on, everybody? It's the Frost. We're back for NXT review for NXT from the September 26, 2018. NXT, of course, started its next set of tapings as we get one step closer to War Games. William Regal started the show by starting to talk about his investigation in the Aleister Black attack, when he is interrupted by, of course, who else but the Undisputed Era. Of course, Adam Cole wants his rematch from Ricochet, and we go with, let me see here, we have Cole says, here we go again, week after week after week after week, you come out here and you're not doing your job. Black was put out weeks ago and still is, and that's on you, but that is in the past. You should be worried about these unprovoked attacks happening again. Strong asks about what are you going to do about the War Raiders and them attacking us from behind. We as the tag team champions shouldn't have to worry about these cosplay Vikings coming after us. O'Reilly says, I feel unsafe. Cole says Black isn't here. Regal says it's interesting. I'm talking about this investigation, and you three show up, and ever since you guys have showed up in NXT, and before, of course, he can say anything else, Ricochet interrupts, not Ricochet, but Cole interrupts, and he enters the ring and says, what are you implying? How dare you? I know what you're doing. You're trying to change the subject. You're trying to make sure the War Raiders go unchecked, or you refuse to reprimand Ricochet. Regal asks, why would I reprimand Ricochet? And Cole says, if you were doing your job, you would see he's ducking me and refusing to fight me, and on top of that, you've given Pete Dunne a championship match. Here's the deal. I want a rematch, and I want it right freaking now. Gotta love Adam Cole. Adam Cole was on the Edge and Christian show podcast, or Edge and Christian podcast, and talked about how he pretty much got whatever he is, and anyone ever took a chance on him, not because of his in-ring ability or what he looks like, because please, the guy is one of the smallest guys in the wrestling business, but it's his mic work, and it was on full display in this entire first promo. Adam Cole could sell you on anything with his mic skills. This guy, even after he is done with his wrestling career, I'd say about 10-15 years from now, this guy could be put behind behind the desk for a commentator's position and still probably be one of the best commentators in WWE or anywhere else he would go to work. Regal says, you never asked me for a rematch. In fact, you wanted Pete Dunne to soften up Ricochet before the rematch, and on top of that, you getting involved in the match last week, that wasn't fair to Pete Dunne. You thought you could get one up on me with this whole entire Aleister Black thing, but you can't. You won't be getting your title rematch yet, but in 2 weeks, you will face Ricochet and Pete Dunne in a triple threat match. Yo, boys, he's talking about O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. You boys in 3 weeks will also not be getting off scot-free because you'll be facing the War Raiders for the tag team titles. So next week we have matches announced for next week, but in 2 weeks we get a triple threat match, and in 3 weeks from now we get a tag team title match. We got some big main events coming up. We'll talk about will be the main event probably next week later on when we get to it, but this is definitely going to be interesting, and we are getting closer to War Games. I'm hoping again that Bobby Fish is healthy enough by the time we get to the next set of tapings, so we have a traditional 4v4 War Games, because it would be Ricochet, the War Raiders, and Pete Dunne or Keith Lee, depending on which one you want to go with, versus all 4 members of the Undisputed Era. I do not want to nor need to see the the 4-man, the 3v3v3 that we got last year. That's not how this is going. And I don't think British Strong Style is getting involved with NXT over here anymore anyway, outside of Pete Dunne, because they're gearing up for NXT UK. And even if they don't want to put Pete Dunne in the War Games match, give him Keith Lee or Matt Riddle or whoever else. That will be decided in the next set of tapings. Right now, we're still building towards that. This entire thing with Ricochet, War Raiders, and Undisputed Era is working towards War Games. If Bobby Fish is healthy by the time we get to War Games, it will be a 4v4. It will not be a 3v3v3. That was last year. It was a traditional this year. We go to the back and we see Johnny Gargano, and he is being asked about him returning to action next week when he takes on Tony Nese. And he says, for the first time in a long time, I feel right. He's sick of whining and complaining. That's not me. Next week, I come back to being who I am, and that is Johnny Wrestling. He walks past the interviewers and finds his wife, Candice LeRae, and they go to leave when Lacey Evans shows up and lambasts Candice LeRae and says, a real woman stands by her husband all time. A real lady and a good wife would fight by her husband at all times. And she takes her finger and just lays it on Johnny's chest, and that pisses off Candice LeRae. So Candice LeRae wants to fight right there, right now. Was not announced for next week, so I take it it's going to either be next week or the week after. We will get Candice LeRae versus Lacey Evans. Velveteen Dream is getting done with a photo shoot, and Kathy Kelly just shows up out of nowhere and chases him down, wanting a word. Dream says, "What about what?" He says, "Queen Kathy, we already talked about how the Dream stole the show at TakeOver Chicago and TakeOver Brooklyn. So what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about how Dream beat Johnny Gargano? Well, that won't happen because the Dream isn't going to talk about Johnny's failure. I'm not going to talk about a man that's not here right now, and the Dream is not going to talk about the man that attacked the man who's not here right now, the NXT champ," and walks off. Kathy Kelly then asks, "So you're implying Tommaso Ciampa attacked Aleister Black?" Dream comes back and says, "Dream is not a snitch. The writing is on the wall. Go do your job." Great stuff right there. I just love the Velveteen Dream because he is just coming along a long way, and is definitely one of the best promo guys in NXT. You got Adam Cole, you got not Ricochet, but you got Adam Cole, and you got Velveteen Dream as two of the best promo guys. Tommaso Ciampa is pretty good too. Johnny Gargano. NXT definitely can sell you on a match without even have to have interaction between two people. But this is definitely leading to Velveteen Dream versus Tommaso Ciampa at TakeOver War Games. He did fire the first shot last night, I should say. Lars Sullivan versus, I didn't get his name, and I just put him down as victim. This was a massive beatdown, and the guy he was going up was no small spring chicken either. This guy was a pretty lofty dude, but Lars Sullivan was tossing him around the ring. When all of a sudden, EC3 comes in and attacks the big man, sending him to the outside. Lars Sullivan, of course, wins by DQ. Lars does grab EC3 by the throat and looks to, get back on the apron to do something to EC3, but EC3 gets out and sends Sullivan flying. We go to the back and we see William Regal outside of his office, and he says he's narrowed things down but still needs answers. When you hear a loud banging from his office and Nikki Cross comes out. She wants to tangle with Bianca Belair again, and Regal says, "Fine, we'll do it again." When? Wasn't announced for next week, so I'm going to say about 2 weeks from now, probably. But then she says, I know, walks off. So Regal's asked, do you think she's implying that she knows who attacked Aleister Black? Regal says Nikki Cross probably doesn't even know what she knows, and she's just crazy. So we will find out probably in the coming weeks what Nikki Cross knows. It would not surprise me if she and Aleister Black have a little one-on-one talk before these tapings are over. Aleister Black should be making his return either in these tapings or definitely in the next tapings. We had the Mighty versus Street Profits. The Mighty versus Street Profits in this match is happening because when the Forgotten Sons were taking on the Street Profits, the Mighty came in and stole the chains and Solo Cup of Montez Ford. Speaking of the chains and Solo Cup, the Mighty came out, one wearing the chains and the other wearing the Solo Cup, or holding the Solo Cup, I'm so stupid. The Street Profits come out and they are just all business tonight. They usually coming around, jumping, hopping, and everything, and being happy and everything. No, these guys were just down for business last night. Dawkins just cold cocks one of the Mighty. It's Shane Miller and Nick Miller and Shane Thorne. I can't tell. I know one has a beard and one not, but they they move so fast that I lose track of who is who. Like the Street Profits have got to be one of the most over teams in NXT or all of WWE really. Whereas The Mighty are just, the Mighty just seem to be a little boring. They have the look of what could be a great tag team. They have the in-ring ability. It's just, they're really boring. And it's just, I don't know what else I could say about the Mighty. They just seem boring. The Street Profits are over because of Montez, and it's real obvious. And this team does break up when it goes to the main roster. Montez Ford will become the breakout star, and Angelo Dawkins will be nothing. He will be the Marty Jannetty, while Montez Ford becomes the Shawn Michaels. It's just facts. Montez Ford is the Shawn Michaels of this group. Dawkins is a decent wrestler, but overall, Montez Ford is the man of this act. Dawkins was destroying the Mighty for the beginning of this match, but the Mighty get back in, but before a double Bulldog and Tope con Hilo by Ford. This was really cool because Ford did a Tope con Hilo to, I believe it was Thorne. The other one decides he's going to try and run at Montez Ford. Montez Ford decides to jump back on the apron, and the guy chasing after him runs right into the steel steps, laying himself out. I believe it was Thorne. Thorne was in the ring, and he gets pinned for a 2 count. Dawkins tags in. He starts talking trash with Thorne with a boot in the corner. Thorne gets hung up on the top rope. Miller distracts Dawkins, and Thorne with a drop kick. Mighty take control. Thorne stopping away at Dawkins in the corner. Miller tags in, and Dawkins takes the heat for this match. Backdrop by Miller for a 2 count. Dawkins escapes and tags in Ford, who does a somersault over one, clotheslines the other out of the ring, and hits a drop kick on. It's just something with the Mighty is that maybe it's a good thing because they can't tell who is who. They blend in, but that could also be a bad thing as well. I'm not sure. Thorne shoves Ford into the ring post on the apron, and he slips. His leg ends up behind the steps, and Miller drop kicks him the steps while Ford is trapped. And the Mighty start focusing on Ford's leg from now on. Double Russian leg sweep followed by a kick to the back of Ford's head, the back of Ford followed by a running clothesline for a 2 count. Modified figure 4 on Ford as the Mighty work on Ford's leg, but Ford with a couple chops to Miller as Ford breaks free. He tries to get to the corner, but Miller stops him and drags him back to Thorne, and Thorne tags in. Usually what you would see is that the person who gets the heat mostly, which was Dawkins, and then Ford tagged in, but then Ford got his leg injured. Usually it would be he would get beat down for a bit, and then you would get that hot tag, and then Dawkins would beat down the other two and get the win. That didn't happen here. That did not happen here. It looked like it was going to happen, though. It looked like it was going to happen. And Miller goes to pull Dawkins down. Dawkins kicks Miller into the barricade. Ford does a flip over Thorne. His knee buckles. It looked like he literally got injured. Shane Thorne takes him, Victor forces his legs up, flips over him in the jackknife position, and we get a 1, 2, 3 as Miller holds Dawkins' leg, preventing the save. And the Mighty are your winners. It did look like, and I didn't hear anything or haven't heard anything if Montez Ford is injured legitimately, but the dude looked like he got completely injured in that thing. If he's not really injured, then he sold like nobody else. So I expect to see the Mighty in the Street Profits again down the line. Kairi Sane versus Vanessa Bourne. This was just a wash match, really. Vanessa Bourne is a jobber to the stars right now. Kairi Sane wins with the insane elbow, which looks like she botched it maybe a little bit. Post-match, Shane is celebrating when Shayna Baszler makes her way out here. Celebrates. She says, "Celebrate with that title while you can. Clock's gonna run out soon. Sure, you won at Brooklyn, and I admit that one hurt me, but I'm not gonna take you on right now. I'm invoking my rematch clause, Kairi, I will drown you and drop anchor and take back my title." Kairi says you can have your rematch at WWE Evolution. Baszler smiles and leaves, but before she can leave, Kairi says, "And I will beat you again." Now, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I can't wait to see that match at WWE Evolution." One problem: Triple H is not running the show. Vince McMahon and his team are running Evolution. It's come out by Dave Meltzer and others that Triple H's team is running Evolution. So will this match be as good as TakeOver Brooklyn? Probably not. Because Vince McMahon doesn't know how to run the women's division on a whole So to see this match be done in front of and be run by Vince McMahon's group is going to be real sad. If it's not, and it's going to be a big disappointment if it's not real close to what they did at Brooklyn. And then we see Keith Lee. He wants an opportunity, and he says that is gold. He opens the door and runs into Reeves, and eventually he challenges Conor Reeves to a match. So I'd say that's going to be in this set of taping somewhere. They do announce that next week the Forgotten Sons will be in action along with Lars Sullivan versus EC3, which is a takeover-worthy match. But we are getting Lars Sullivan versus EC3 next week. With the fact that War Games is the next takeover coming up, we have Lars Sullivan versus EC3, we have Adam Cole versus Pete Dunne versus Ricochet, and then we have the War Raiders versus the Undisputed Era. That's 3 NXT-worthy, takeover-worthy main events and or matches, and they're going to be the main events. And they're not on one show. This was WWE. We would have all three of these matches on Raw for 3 or 4 weeks straight. So it's great to see this type of matchup happening, and it's the fact that they space it out and don't give us everything. They give you a time to have a great match and then breathe as you go into the next episode. And you kind of, I can't wait for the next week. Can't wait till we see that triple threat match in 2 weeks. Can't wait till we see what EC3 and Lars Sullivan does. Can't wait till we see what the War Raiders versus the Undisputed Era in 3 weeks is going to be. So we have a lot to look forward to in the next 3 weeks. That still leaves the 4th week. Wait, actually, no. That would be the final week. That would be the final week. So yeah, the next 3 weeks of this set of tapings are all going to be great with main events worthy of NXT TakeOver. Speaking of NXT TakeOver and the champ, here comes Tommaso Ciampa versus Otis Dozavich, and Otis Dozavich, because he was facing the champ, had one hell of a singles match, in my opinion. We had Tommaso Ciampa pretty much sell and make Otis Dozavich look like he could be a future NXT champion. They lock up and Dozavich drops to champion. Ciampa cuts shot, then a headlock on Dozavich, but a few shoulder blocks by Dozavich rocks the champ. He then tosses the champ outside the ring. Back in, Ciampa tries an axe handle off the top rope, but Dozavich catches him and tosses him to the mat. Dozavich was on top for the beginning of this match. For a good bit of this match, Dozavich was in charge. Dozavich plays to the crowd, and Ciampa rolls out, and Dozavich follows him in a clubbing forearm to Ciampa. He tosses Ciampa back in. Ciampa looks for a draping DDT, but Dozavich gets back in and tosses Ciampa to the outside. Dozavich in control. Dozavich does the caterpillar, does his nice little, it looked like he's going to do like maybe a running dive or something, but instead just does his caterpillar, which is his version of the worm. Ciampa looks to trip Dozavich, but Dozavich just pulls him back in. You know how when a babyface gets to the ring ropes and the heel just is outside, grabs him and pulls him down. Dozavich is like, I'm having none of that, and pulls him in and just gets on his back and just stomps on him and applies pressure for the full 5. Back outside, and Dozavich drops Ciampa onto the apron. Ciampa finally gets a forearm to the back of Dozavich's head. Then he drops Dozavich on the ramp as the ref starts to count. But Ciampa's like, you know what, forget that. Comes out and does some grounding pound to the back of Dozavich's head. Ciampa sets Dozavich up on the apron and hits a running knee to the head. And Dozavich, he gets him back inside, gets a 2 count, and then another. Then he goes and hits another running knee, gets another 2 count. Neckbreaker by Ciampa, who's now in control of this match. Sleeper applied by Ciampa. Dozavich says, you know what, I'm going to just get you off. Runs him back into the corner. But that doesn't last very long. Ciampa gets back on him, and Dozavich drops to the mat. This time, Ciampa's off of him for good. Dozavich with the clubbing shots and a shoulder in the corner. Dozavich then tosses Ciampa across the ring, but a knee by Ciampa, followed by a lariat by Dozavich, who rolls over him for a 2 count. They did have a couple times in this match where it looked like Dozavich was going to get the win. That's awesome storytelling, where it's like, it was a win for the champ, but Dozavich made him fight for it. Ciampa rolls out of the ring and grabs his title, looks to leave the match, but Tucker Knight, who did not come to the ring with Dozavich at the beginning of the match, comes down and prevents Tommaso Ciampa from leaving. That leads to Dozavich with a clothesline. He gets him back in the ring and a couple exploders in the corners from each side. Ciampa goes for a DDT, but Dozavich holds on and hits an exploder on the outside. Back inside elbow by Dozavich for a 2 count. Dozavich goes for a power bomb. Ciampa messes up the ref. Like, I don't know what he did. This was the female referee reffing this match, so he couldn't do much. I think he like messed with her hair or something, and then scratches the eyes. Goes for the fairy tale ending, which would be the Angel's Wings, but Dozavich sends him into the corner. Ciampa with a kick to the head. Sit out powerbomb for only a 2 count. I thought he actually had Ciampa beat right there. That sit out powerbomb was one of those ones. If it ended there, what a upset by Dozavich, but no. Crowd cheering for Dozavich. Tucker Knight cheering him, like hyping the crowd up, trying to get him to cheer louder and louder. Dozavich goes for the Vader bomb, but Ciampa moves. He grabs, like Dozavich goes to grab Ciampa. This was how the match ended. He goes to grab Ciampa, who's on the apron. Ciampa grabs him and hits a draping DDT on the apron. Ciampa, like Dozavich looks out of it. He gets back on the apron, and Ciampa on the inside hits another draping DDT for the 1, 2, 3. Your winner, Tommaso Ciampa. Great match, great main event. Did it outclass what we saw last week? No, but it was still a great match for Otis Dozavich to see what he could do if they ever wanted to break them up. Even though I'm pretty sure it would be a different story if it was somebody else. But if he was to wrestle a guy like a Johnny Gargano, a Tommaso Ciampa, and like a Johnny Cianomalis, or somebody like that who is a ring lead, a ring general, then Otis Dozavich could probably hang with them. Whereas now it would not surprise me if next set of tapings we would see a Tucker Knight versus a Tommaso Ciampa, just so NXT can see what he can do on his own. But this was definitely a main event worthy match. It was. No complaints there. Definitely a great episode of NXT. We are looking forward to next week, which will have EC3 versus Lars Sullivan and the Forgotten Sons in tag team action. But that is your NXT review. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video, whichever you choose. Make sure to find me on Twitter at TheFranz. Find me on twitch.tv/TheFranz08. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the Mae Young Classic, the final 4 matches of the first round, where we have Io Shirai versus Xia Brookside and 3 other matches. I will have my review up for those after I watch that tomorrow. Until then, my name is TheFranz, and I will see you guys later.